The Sphinx is an ancient building or sculpture that has the body of a lion, the wings of an eagle, the bust of a bull, and a human head believed to be Khafre's. Due to the possibility that the head is similar to that of the pharaoh Khephren, the dating of the creation of the Sphinx is placed at the time of the 4th dynasty from 2723 to 2563 years BC. The Sphinx was carved out of limestone, and due to time, a larger part of this building began to crumble. There are certain theories about the disappearance of the Sphinx's nose, the most popular of which is that it was lost during the French conquest of Egypt, when Napoleon's soldiers shot at it from a cannon. And it turns out that it's not true, considering that in the recent past, sketches of the Sphinx have been discovered that date long before Napoleon's conquest of Egypt, in which the Sphinx is without a nose. The representation of the Sphinx itself has its own hidden meaning. It is made of a human head representing the sign of Aquarius, the bust of a bull representing the bull, eagle wings representing the sign of Scorpio, and the rest of the lion's body representing the lion. So the Sphinx is a mystical symbol in itself that contains the 4 key signs of the zodiac. Thus, the astrological principle, that is, the 4 natural elements, air, water, fire, and earth. We know that the Egyptians were skilled astronomers and paid great attention to the zodiac, so this kind of creation is not surprising. Sphinxes were mythological creatures for the Egyptians, which were considered guardians. What is interesting is that there is not just one great Sphinx in Giza, but countless of them guarding various temples. She was transferred as a symbol to Greek mythology, but she was only one. The Sphinx from Greek mythology had the body of a lion, the wings of a bird, and the head of a woman, and was a demon of war and destruction. According to one myth, a young prince who got tired of hunting sat down on the sand in front of the pyramids to rest. Delighted by the beauty of the place where he rested, he later returned and laid flowers in that place in honor of the Egyptian god Horus, who was the protector of the unity of earth and sky. Horus appeared as a providence to that young man and asked him to dig up the ancient statue of the Sphinx from the sand, and that he would in turn become pharaoh. The young man fulfilled what the vision of Horus asked him to do, and later became Pharaoh Thutmose VI. This happened in 1400 BC, which implies that the Sphinx was already ancient and forgotten even for the ancient Egyptians. The American parapsychologist and psychic Edgar Cayce, who predicted many world events such as the First and Second World Wars, the victory of the USSR, the fall of communism, the formation of the State of Israel, the independence of India, the invention of the laser, and many other things, had a vision of finding the Hall of Records. Case argued that there were caves extending beneath the pyramids of Giza, and that the entrance should be right under the paws of the Sphinx. According to Casey's visions, the Hall of Records is allegedly located in those underground chambers. Case described the Hall of Records as a treasury that preserves the records of the history of the world before the destruction of Atlantis. This hall also contains the records of the surviving inhabitants of Atlantis, who allegedly founded ancient civilizations on the American continent, such as the Mayans, among others, but also the famous Egyptian civilization, which happened 13,000 years ago. All of this would be an interesting fabrication if we did not have some other confirmations besides the vision of a man who, after all, had proven to predict so much. Since the Egyptian authorities do not allow digging under the Sphinx and the pyramids, and leading archaeologists claim that this story is a hoax, we must reconsider this vision from other sources. The Greek historian Herodotus tells us that this vision is not without foundation, who after his visit to Egypt in 443 BC writes, among other things, "Underneath the pyramids and the Sphinx, there is a large labyrinth that leads to the underworld." Later, Herodotus was followed up by the Roman Marcellinus, who stated that the adepts, that is, those who were consecrated under the pyramids, built an underground labyrinth of corridors and chambers in order to preserve the knowledge of sacred ceremonies in preparation for the coming flood. This is supported by recent discoveries in which the Sphinx and Cheops pyramid contain hundreds of thousands of marine fossils, most of which are intact and preserved in the walls of these buildings. Marcellinus is followed up by his contemporary Iamblichus, who states in his writings about Egyptian rituals and mysteries. In a secret place between the paws of the Sphinx, there is a bronze door that can be opened with a hidden lever. Through this door, young priests enter a round room in which they must pass certain checks before they can be admitted to the circle of the consecrated. In addition to these, there are many other historical documents about alleged underground chambers. In addition to the documents, John Anthony West, lecturer and author of The Hypothesis of Water Erosion of the Sphinx, and Robert M. Schoch, professor of natural sciences, offer us evidence with seismic images of the Giza plateau that confirm the existence of underground chambers. Their theory is that water caused the erosion of the foundation of the Sphinx, and not wind and sand as official science claims. So that would be the time when the Sahara was covered with lush vegetation, so somewhere before 10,000 years BC. So we have marine fossils on buildings in Giza, seismic recordings of underground rooms, and numerous texts that indicate that there is something under the Sphinx after all. Will the Hall of Records be found and some unknown history of humanity revealed? Or will the official scientific community not allow digging, perhaps because what lies beneath is something that would threaten the way of life as we know it?